Hi, welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, a 2024 audit of ECG's accounts reveals 5.3 billion cedis in underdeclared revenue. We have details from a PwC audit report which revealed that ECG continues to operate 99 bank accounts across different banks despite IMF conditionality that it operates a single account. Also coming up, we discuss revamping the Tema oil refinery as energy strategist Dr. Ghc5.3 takes over as acting MD. Plus, the Cedi's rate of depreciation against the dollar slows significantly as a result of improved Bank of Ghana supply and offshore inflows. My name is Darrell Kwao. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. All right, that was your look at the currency market. And as we indicated at the top of the bulletin, the rate of depreciation of the cedi against the US dollar continues to slow significantly for this year. This is as a result of improved Bank of Ghana dollar support and offshore inflows. Georgia Affe has more.
It had been projected that the cedi could come under serious pressure against the US dollar in the first 3 months of this year. This is due to the fact that demand was going to surge as usual as a result of pickup in dollar demand from businesses that were trying to restock for this year. However, a careful look at the rates over the past 3 weeks have shown that in some cases, the cedi has stayed flat against the US dollar or even appreciated. That is both on the Forex Bureau market and the commercial banks. Data picked up from the commercial bank showed that it can be partly linked to improved dollar support coming from the Bank of Ghana. The central bank last week, for instance, sold more than $50 million to the commercial banks through its 7-day forward auction program. This is in addition to previous supplies on the market. On the other hand, commercial banks themselves have also been selling a lot more dollars among themselves through the interbank market trades. There's another interesting development on the market. That is offshore dollars coming from investors that are trading in the secondary government bonds market. Some of the commercial banks have told Joy Business that if this trend should continue, then we could end the first quarter of this year escaping the perennial curse where the cedi depreciates significantly against the US dollar.
Other news, energy strategist Dr. Ghc5.3 is formally taking over as acting managing director of the Tema oil refinery tour. He's taken over from the former managing director, Kofi Tego Makumbe. In a post on the company's website, Dr. Ghc5.3 said the refinery has undergone transformation over the years, delivering excellence in the downstream sector from 1963. He added the strategic intent is to ensure effectiveness and efficiency of the refinery's operations as it aligns with the company's overall strategic imperatives, organizational capabilities, and towards vision of being the premier refinery, a pride for Ghanaians. Well, joining me on Zoom is Anamwesi VII. He is the executive director of the Institute for Energy Security. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. First, your thoughts on the president's pick-to-head tour.
Good afternoon to you, Darrell, and good afternoon to your viewers. Dr. Suleiman is an operational guy. He's worked with Tor before. He's worked with other refineries outside the country. And so when it comes to refinery operations, we have no doubt that he understands the domain that is going to work in. The issues at Tor is not alien to him. He knows very well because he's going back to his former colleagues. And we believe with the hindsight, he will perform. That's what our understanding is.
What's the issue with Tor? I mean, for as long as we've reported on Tor, is bumping Tor, saving it from its dwindling fortunes. What is the problem with Tor? Why is it difficult to get Tor to operate in full capacity?
Well, it's a cash flow constraints or a bad balance sheet. Tor is unable to bring in the feedstock on its own account. That is one. Yes, there could be an arrangement where they can resort to tolling arrangements. That is when somebody brings in the crude for them to crack. So beyond that, if you are very good both, you can maintain your system. Currently, the crude distillation unit is not in good state. The RFCC, the residual fluid catalytic cracker, is worse. But at least we can start from the CDU where you need some level of maintenance to bring it to a very efficient level. That's what must be done. Unfortunately, if the CDU is even working, Tor has a low, capacity, 45,000 barrels per day. It's not enough to be so competitive. There are other refineries, and you can look at your backyard here, Dangote, working close to 600 million barrels a day, 600,000 barrels a day. Other refineries out there are doing close to 2 million barrels a day, and you are doing 45,000 barrels. How can you be competitive in this equation? And so Tor needs a revamp of its own facility and also an increase in capacity. The next thing is that the whole Tor is loaded with personnel, and we think that there are many idle hands in Tor that must be taken care of. There is a drain on Tor and also a fiscal burden on the economy. Probably they might consider, asking some people to have some, resort to different space. But for now, to have a staff strength of close to 700, 900,000 for a 45,000 barrels per day facility, it's a drain on the economy and the company itself. The next is that the most important thing that we need today in Tor is funding. If they have money, they can retool their system, they can revamp, they can upgrade, they can build a new facility. And I tell you, Darrell, Tor needs a new crude distillation facility. The old one is not efficient, and I'm sure Dr. Suleiman knows this. And so we need capital injection in Tor. Does government have that money? If not, then we'll resort to private sector participation also in Tor. The next is that aside the money that could be injected by private citizens, and I'm not looking beyond Ghana to say that we are bringing private sector participation and a foreigner. We can look within and we could find some here that can inject capital into that, and also some level of efficiency and expertise in Tor. That is a way to look at.
Well, looking at the options, would you say, well, probably privatization is surely the way to go? I mean, it's come up so many times, people for it, people against it. Privatization?
Of course, I've mentioned that it may not be a full privatization, but partly we can explore the options. And we only have to look at how much investment do we need in Tor. What are we looking at the end of the day? Building about 200,000 barrels per day. How much is it? Can Tor do that? Yes, if Tor cannot do, what has Tor to offer when it comes to an arrangement with, when we come to public-private partnership? Is it the land and the storage tanks that can be quantified? And that could serve as an equity to have also another player join you to run the business. So many options can be explored. It's not, we shouldn't say a full privatization. No, we're not looking at that. We're looking at different models that could work and still government having some level of control, not so much of a control such that they can bring in incompetent hands at any point in time. No, government must be ready to cede part of its equity to private hands.
I mean, assuming we are able to get TOR to work in full capacity, how is that going to impact on fuel, for instance, the pricing? We've been complaining about the cost of fuel over time.
There are many variables that would dictate what price of fuel should be. International market prices tells us what price could go at. Taxes and levies also influence price at the pump. Also, your forex exposure, that's the strength of your currency against the imported currency, the dollar, can also sway price either up or down. So these are some of the factors. The next one is the usual economics. When supply is in short, of course, or demand is high, as against short supply, prices are likely to go up. Currently, we're experiencing some shortages in the system. If TOR is working and can assure Ghanaians of fuel supply reliability, it takes that bit of headache off the table. The next is that when TOR is working, it could probably connect with the upstream sector and bring in crude oil from our own indigenous source to TOR. It takes away some of the taxes that comes along with importing crude oil outside the country. It also assures us of fuel supply reliability. And so TOR can connect with the upstream and make sure that they take a parcel or portion of this parcel for local refining.
Okay.
At least it's also even in our petroleum agreement that a portion of our own crude production should be directed to local refineries. And I think that could also help with pricing.
Okay, we'll keep tracking the work of Dr. Yusuf Suleiman. Absolutely wish him the best. He's a friend of the show as well. And so we'll see how it goes. We'll subsequently have some more discussions. Thank you. Good to see you. We see the 7th Executive Director of the IAS. Well, this afternoon, we've been talking about the ECG as well. A full 2024 audit of the accounts of the Electricity Company of Ghana has revealed the state power distributor underdeclared revenue by more than 5 billion Ghana cedis, whilst ECG collected 15.8 billion cedis in 2024. It only declared 10.4 billion cedis. And that's just a bit of what we are discovering this afternoon. Joining me on Zoom to tell us more about this is lead data analyst with Joy News, Isaac Ofieje. Good afternoon to you, Isaac. So what's in that report by the PwC?
Well, Darrell, beyond what you have put right, I mean, the over 5.3 billion Ghana cedis, worth of underdeclaration. There are other fascinating findings in the PwC report, where, for instance, we know ECG to be their key mandate is to go into electricity distribution. But in this validation report, we are seeing that ECG is taking responsibilities like buying fuel on behalf of independent power producers and even going outside the cash waterfall mechanism to procure fuel. In fact, who gave them this mandate? According to the report, we understand that ECG has the blessing of the finance ministry to go into this fuel supply agreements and fuel purchases. We also understand that there was an instance where ECG, on behalf of the independent power producers, decided to buy gas for them and issued to the independent power producers debit notes where, and according to the report, if you look at the debit notes that were issued to the power producers versus what ECG actually declared in the cash waterfall mechanism, there was some 135.26 million Ghana cedis missing. I mean, nobody could account for where that money really went to. What was declared was really lower than what ECG had indicated that they are actually going ahead to procure fuel. In terms of the level B players in the cash waterfall mechanism, for instance, just like you have on the screen, where key level B and state-owned enterprises in the bracket of energy sector or energy generation like VRA, BUI, and others could not be paid by ECG, or they could not get their 3.9 billion Ghana cedis from the cash waterfall mechanism. Another side has to do with the numerous bank accounts being operated by ECG at the moment. In terms of the collection side, or in terms of operation, ECG is operating nearly 100, bank accounts, but they've made improvements in terms of moving the revenues or the inflows into a single account, as indicated by the IMF in the current energy sector, recovery program.
Obviously, we know that ECG is struggling, and we've got all this information. So what does this give us? I mean, what meaning do we put to this, and what are the implications going forward?
I think that this brings on board the conversation that both the finance, the energy minister and the president have been having, that there is a key element or a key part of the distribution component of ECG that must be privatized. We understand that a whole committee has been set up to start this process. And in fact, in terms of the collection aspect, we even understand that ECG has brought on board some service providers like Haptel, which, according to the report, ECG paid Haptel more than some 400 million Ghana cedis for their work done, which others are, raising questions about this sort of transfer and this sort of arrangement. But nobody really knows the detail in terms of the contract that Haptel has with ECG. And so even if you're talking about privatization, there are already elements in there. And in fact, people are raising concerns about the cost of even having this private sector guys in the equation. So it'll be interesting to see how going forward the privatization that the president and the energy minister are calling for in terms of the distribution side of ECG will look like. But at the moment, it's not good. That, I mean, you have even Dubik, I think somewhere a month ago, clarifying that ECG had to underdeclare some of their revenues just to keep the company afloat. And so if you look at the cash waterfall mechanism, for instance, it is only ECG that is bringing in revenue. How about the grid codes and others who also sometimes sell power? Because at peak power, what the country generates, it's not ECG that distributes everything. There are other components that also does power distribution. And so why must the burden be placed on just ECG alone? There's also the other element of the, forex losses, where ECG is currently battling with the forex losses as well. And so it will be an interesting conversation around the whole privatization, discussion. Interesting times ahead, Darrell.
Yeah, and plenty to chew on. Thank you so much, Isaac Kofieje, for your time. Nice spectacles. See you later in the office. You're watching The Marketplace. When we come back, we've got the last episode of the Joy Business Advisory Series. Don't go anywhere. Welcome to the Joy Business Advisory Series. The financial reporting landscape is undergoing a significant transformation driven by emerging trends that prioritize sustainability, transparency, and technological innovation. Now, as sustainability becomes a business imperative, SMEs that adopt environmentally and socially responsible practices will gain a competitive edge. So what are these new reporting standards, and how can an SME position itself to take advantage of the opportunities available in this space? Samuel Agbo, Assistant Manager for Assurance at Deloitte, joins me in studio. Good afternoon. Great to have you here on the Marketplace and for the Joy Business Advisory Series. And so let's begin with what the new trends are in financial reporting.
Okay, thank you for having me, Darrell. So some of the new trends in financial reporting include the move away from the traditional quarterly periodic reports to more data-driven and live reports. Okay, and we are moving away from the traditional way of doing things in accounting practice. We are now infusing sustainability into reporting. For instance, the International Financial Reporting Standards have issued sustainability standards such as F1, S1, and S2, which enjoins businesses to be more sustainable in their reporting and embark on more sustainable practices in terms of running their business.
Yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about sustainability, but why should SMEs be concerned about this?
Great. You know, every business operates in an environment, okay? You know, ESG stands for environment, social governance, okay? And resources are finite. So in tapping resources, whether human, whether natural resources, we have to go about it sustainably so that the future will not be hampered. Okay. Recently, there's been this social angst against galamsey and all that. Why? Because they are not doing it sustainably. They are thinking about the present and not the future. Okay. Increasingly, investors are also becoming very wary about how businesses operate. Okay, and if they are doing it the right way and in a way that will not compromise the future. Okay, and in terms of governance too, it's very, very important that SMEs and businesses think about these things when they are running their business.
Yeah, do you think that Ghanaian SMEs are becoming increasingly conscious about this?
Yes, I think so very much, because everybody wants to attract investment. Yeah. Okay, and if the people who are giving you the money to run the business are cautious of sustainability, as a business, you would start leaning towards that. So we've seen an increasing number of businesses incorporate and start reporting on ESG matrices in their reports.
All right, let's talk about the opportunities for SMEs that are sticking to these standards.
Okay, so as a business, when you incorporate these standards in your reporting, you make your reports more like internationally visible. Okay, you become more interoperable. For instance, with the adoption of these S1 and S2 reporting standards that the International Financial Reporting Body has issued, okay, you put your business on the globe. For instance, you put in certain measures that let the world know that you are contributing back to society, you are giving back, you are doing it sustainably. There are investors who look up to these things before they put their money in a business. So as an SME, when you involve these kind of practices in your business, you are just opening yourself up for more investments.
Yeah, and there's plenty money, plenty cash out there for SMEs that are becoming conscious of the ESGs. And so how do SMEs prepare their books in order to attract funding and these opportunities like you mentioned?
Okay, great. So the first thing that I always tell my SME clients is that, one, be very transparent in your reporting. Don't cook up books just because you want to attract investment. Be very transparent, okay? And start incorporating SMEs in a phased approach, ESG practices in a phased approach. You can start by looking at your governance. Do you have a governance structure in place? Does your business survive after you? Okay, or everything is revolving around you as the CEO or the owner of the business. Then in terms of your social matrices, what are you doing in the society where you operate to benefit those who are directly impacted by your business? Okay, then of course the environment where you operate. All this you have to start thinking about, including your reports, and cautiously and judicially working towards achieving these targets.
That sounds like plenty of work. I mean, if you're starting a business, you probably may not think that this is important right now, but it is. And so I just also want to know, is there technology that helps SMEs easily do this? And what are the advantages? Are there any challenges?
Yes. There are technologies out there. And, you know, we cannot talk about being compliant as a business, being future-proof without technology. So, for instance, there's a standard in reporting, a way of reporting called XBRL, which stands for Extensible Business Reporting Language. And that is actually the future of regulatory reporting. Right. So, as a business, you have to start thinking about these things. Look out there. When you adopt these kind of technologies like XBRL, there are standards in there, there are taxonomies in there, which is taxonomy just a way of classifying your data, your reports. Okay, when you incorporate these things as a business for status, okay, you are, as I said in the beginning, opening up yourself for more investment and telling the world that you are really serious about what you are doing. Yeah,
and what role can regulatory bodies play in ensuring that SMEs are transparent in reporting? What can they do to help SMEs?
Great. So, you know, many SMEs are quite, when it comes to disclosing information to regulatory bodies, they are a bit jittery about it, because sometimes the idea is that it's all for tax purposes and all that. So I see that regulatory bodies should let the business see the light, why they have to be compliant, why they have to be transparent as a business. That maybe in the end they might even end up paying less taxes, because at the end of the day there's data which is clean and free of errors, and then policymakers can leverage the data to make decisions that will benefit the business. So when you let SMEs as regulators see the light, that if you report correctly, you stay transparent as a business, these are the advantages that you would or accrue to you. I think that they'll get their buy-in in the long run.
How do you see the future of this function in the next 5 to 10 years, let's say?
I think that the future of the finance function, okay,
right,
is gradually moving away from the traditional debit and credit, the traditional just presenting trial balances and just the regulatory reports. But now it's moving towards visualizing reports, making data tell a story, okay, making people who are not very inclined accounting-wise understand financial statements. Okay, because some of these investors who want to put their money in businesses, they might not necessarily be very accounting savvy, but they have the money. Okay, so if as a business and as a finance function, if we make reporting more user-friendly, okay, they'll be able to understand the reports, be able to see how your business is doing, and then put their money in there.
All right. Thank you so much for your perspective. Appreciate it. Samuel Agbo, Manager for Assurance at Deloitte, joining me in studio for the Joy Business Advisory Series. It's all about sustainability now, and we've been talking about how financial reporting landscape is undergoing significant transformation driven by some of these sustainability issues. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And that's the Joy Business Advisory Series. Enjoy the rest of our programs.